has assured farmers that land reform measures will not result in social fractures and racial polarization. Deputy President Mabuza was addressing agricultural stakeholders at the AgriSA Land Summit, which is currently underway in Bela Bela in Limpopo. The Deputy President emphasized that the land debate is taking place at a time when the country is faced with many challenges. Our reporter Patricia Visagie has been following this story for us.
The land debate is perhaps one of the most topical discussions in the country currently. Of course, at the helm of it all is land expropriation without a compensation. It is a topic that has drawn mixed reactions from the public domain, and as government and of course other stakeholders, as farmers and AgriSA try to find solutions to the ongoing land debate and actually to find what is the appropriate manner to engage and approach the whole land expropriation without compensation policy that is currently explored in the country. A lot of people, of course, are giving their views on how it can be done without creating instability and further conflict in the country. And right now I am joined by the chairperson of the In Transformation Initiative, and that is Ruth Meyer. We are here at, of course, AgriSA Summit, and it is delving into land and, of course, just transformation in the agriculture sector. You have been very instrumental in terms of giving government advice and also giving advice to farmers and those in the agriculture sector as abroad. Your inputs, is the country currently on the right path in addressing the whole land discussion?
I think from what we have observed during the last few days, we can say yes, we are on the right track. And I think what we have heard from government and what we have heard from the agricultural leadership in the country tell me one thing, and that is that through dialogue people are starting to make contact with each other, starting to seek reason, starting to look for a settlement on the whole subject of, on the one side, land transformation, and on the other side, agricultural development. Both are equally important. On the land side, we must respect the fact that so many South Africans still don't have access to land, and it's coming through the history. And we can look at all the mistakes that were made in the past, in the long term, but also in the short term. I don't think we made sufficient progress in the last 24 years since the transition, as far as land reform is concerned.
Now, talking about the progress, you have repeatedly mentioned in the past that there has always been policy that has supported government's plans for land expropriation without compensation. But why has this policy not been fully explored over the years of democracy?
I think, if we look back at where the starting point is, it's of course the Constitution. The 1996 Constitution. And the Constitution is very clear. It says there shall be land reform. The question is therefore, where did the failure come during this period since 1996? And I think it's not a matter of a lack of policies or even legislation that provides for it. It's a question of a lack of implementation. And we can point fingers as far as that is towards various departments.
Is this where we talk about political will?
It's political will, but maybe also an absence of the reality on how to deal with the question of implementation of land. Look, for instance, the fact that government owns at this stage more than 4,000 farms that have been expropriated over this period of 24 years. It sits in the hands of government, but it's never been transferred to the legitimate claimants. And I think that is the kind of problem that we are facing today. Now people are very sensitive and very emotional about the issue. So I think what is being addressed now in the last period, as it was expressed very clearly by the President in a meeting where I was present on Tuesday this week, and equally so by the Deputy President in his speech that he made this morning, is that we have to bring all these factors together. Government has a responsibility, but the farming community also have a responsibility. There were also neglects on their side. I think much more could have been done by the farming community at large in terms of commercial farmers helping emerging farmers. But that is now starting to happen. I mean, we are listening here to at least 60 examples of productive, successful partnerships that have grown around the country in various sectors of agriculture. So those are positive examples that we must follow and extend.
And really, speaker after speaker, we could hear of their positive message, their positive engagements, and really the hope that we would find an amicable solution to this ongoing discussion. And that was clear that there is a willingness from the farmers to actually work hand in hand with government and whoever else to find a solution that can benefit everybody.
I think what we heard this morning is actually so complementary to each other. On the one side, the Deputy President speaking on behalf of government, saying exactly what government plans to do about this. On the other side, farmers, existing commercial farmers, bringing together the other side of the coin, so to speak. And I think what we're now seeing is that the different elements of the discussion has delivered a possible result. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, we need, on the one side, willing farmers, new farmers, emerging farmers. We need transfer of skills. We need funding and financial support. And we need also a market potential where people can sell their products, either domestically or abroad. South Africa is, for instance, a net exporter of food, and we must stay that way. But we can extend it. We can grow the contribution of agriculture towards the economy hugely if we bring in more farmers.
And as we heard Deputy President David Mabuza really emphasizing this morning, saying that the failure to work together will be costly to everybody in this country. So we're really at a juncture where we cannot afford anymore not to give positive inputs and feedback.
Yeah. I think he was absolutely right in pointing that out. I would from my side caution that we must keep the fundamentals in mind all the time, that there's a real desire on the side of the vast majority of South Africans to become participating, or to be enabled to participate in the land distribution in the country, because the vast majority of South Africans don't have access. And whether it's farming land or urban land, all of us have the right, in terms of the Constitution, to get access to land. And we must keep that in mind, because it's also a matter of personal dignity. And together with that, it's a matter of domestic food security. 20% of South Africans go to bed every night without sufficient food supply. And that is something that we also have to keep in mind. How are we going to address that? So somewhere the balance lies. So what I think we are saying is, these are positive stories, but we have to keep on working harder.
Yeah. And coming to that, how do we address people who say, but this is just window dressing, it's just another talk shop, we're not really going to get the progress that we are hoping for? How do we respond to that criticism that still exists in the public domain?
I wish all South Africans could have listened to the examples that were produced so far during this summit. And will be presented over the next day and a half. Because what we are hearing are real examples. It's not window dressing. It's real examples of what is happening in practice already. And I think we have to expose this. And thanks to the media and their presence here. But we have to expose this to all South Africans, to make them aware of what good things are happening. But the point is, it has to grow. It has to be extended. We have to keep in mind what are the basic needs of South Africans at large, of the vast majority of South Africans, and we have to work harder as far as that is. Why are we here today in terms of this kind of debate, and why have this matter being raised to the extent that it is now a national issue, is because of the lack of progress over 24 years. And I think in a certain way, the resolution that said expropriation without compensation sparked this debate. And the end result of it might be very positive. because now we're looking for solutions from both ends of the equation.
And while the majority of the country is perhaps willing to look for those solutions, there are always those prophets of doom. We can call them the extremists or whatever the appropriate term would be. This week we of course were shocked by some utterances by the American President Donald Trump with some of the accusations that he made, saying that white farmers in the country are facing an onslaught by their own government. How do we as a country find a way to get the right message out there and make sure that the misleading message, the polarization that is attached to the land debate is actually completely diffused?
Well, I have to say that Trump reminds me of the extremist voices that we hear in our own country, from the left and the right. Somewhere in between lies the truth. And all advice I can give to Trump is stay out of our business. Go and find answers to your own challenges and your own problems. But the reality is what he spoke about was not the truth. He got misled in terms of coverage in his own country about the situation here. There is not a single farm that has been seized. And he speaks as if that is happening in South Africa. It's nonsense. But like we have seen 26 years ago or more, we had extremists then also who were prophets of doom about South Africa. People from the left who confronted the challenge of finding a peaceful settlement. And the same with people from the right at the time. And somewhere in the middle lies the truth. And we succeeded then, under the leadership of President Mandela, to find a way to keep the center together and to actually strengthen the center to make it a positive outcome. And I think we're in that same space where we find ourselves today. The left will keep shouting and the right will keep shouting. And somewhere in between we will find the real answers.
All right, thank you so much. They're, of course, in conversation with the chairperson of In Transformation. We are at a two-day land summit that's organized by AgriSA and Landbou Weekblad. It is a summit that is aimed at, of course, delving deeper into the ongoing land debate in the country. They're looking at better ways to, of course, advance transformation in agriculture in the country and, of course, to address land expropriation without compensation. Tomorrow will be the last day of this particular gathering. We have over, of course, 65 speakers that have been ascending to the podium since this morning. Of course, the main speaker this morning was Deputy President David Mabuza, who also came with a very positive speech in terms of informing the farmers what government's plan is and appealing to the farmers that it is imperative at this juncture for everybody to work together to find an amicable solution to the ongoing land discussion in the country.
All right, many thanks to our reporter there, Patricia Visagie. Moving along now.